Hi guys, welcome to my new tutorial. I am going to show you how I did the door, like smash door breakdown effect that I did in my Superman vs Green Lantern video. So check that out, there's going to be a link in the description so you can see that effect. Now I couldn't find the raw files for that video. So I went out today and I took this picture of this like electrical box house thing. So yeah, I'm just going to use that. It's just a picture, but I do have a comp open here with my composition inside it that's just got some camera shake and also some keyframes to make it have a bigger camera shake for when the door explodes off. I've already set that up, so I'd have to do it later because this isn't a tutorial for that, I guess. So there you go. So I've got this camera shake and then bang, it explodes a little bit. It's not done perfectly, but whatever. So obviously this is as if you were filmed, as if you'd filmed the shot on a tripod, so there's no camera movement to have to follow or track or anything. But if you don't film on a tripod, there's always tutorials out there teaching you how to track the camera and stuff. So yeah, so okay, let's just get started. What I did was I took this image here and I also took this image, I'm just going to bring that in here, which is just a front-on view of the door. Slightly different colour, so that needs to be sorted out later, but we'll do that later. So first thing we need to do is we need to get rid of the door that's already there. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to create a new solid. That needs to be black, and we'll just call it door alpha matte. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lower the transparency of that all the way to 0 for a second. Go zoom in on the door, and we're just going to cut out around the door frame. We're not going to follow the doors here. We're going to follow the door frame because the doors aren't flush with the actual frame, and it needs to just be moved out of where the door frame is, not where the door is. Okay, so now we're going to turn this all the way. We're going to turn this all the way to 100. And there you have it. There's a hole in the door. So that doesn't look like the worst thing in the world, to be honest, but it's not perfect. What we want to do is just try to add a few pixels of feather on there just to soften it up a little bit. Now we're going to use that as an alpha matte to show us whatever's inside of the door. But what we first need to just quickly do is decide where we want the door to pop off, and we're going to have it pop off at 3 seconds. So I'm going to take the black solid at 3 seconds, hit Alt open bracket so the layer starts at that point. So bang, off, on, yeah, so now what I did was I have these pictures, show them to you. These pictures I took when I was out one time. I saw this building that has been like fell down or something, so I took those images and I created this inside of that little housing thing. Out of those things, I just made this little 3D. I don't know, it doesn't look that great, but it'll do for this. So I'm going to just bring the center to this corner. I'm just going to bring the anchor point to that corner, and then we will line it up. And then we're going to scale it down a little bit because that's probably too big. Something like that's good. And now we're going to bring that below. Sorry, we're going to leave it where it is actually. No, we're not. So we're going to bring that below the black solid, and we're going to change the track matte to alpha matte. And that just, looks terrible. Now, obviously, the floor really doesn't match that well to the outside floor. If you spent more time on actually getting something to put inside, it would look better. But I just did this quickly since it's for the tutorial. But it's it works for what it is. And then I'm also going to duplicate the black, and I'm going to add an ellipse around the front here and set it to intersect. And now we've got this effect that sort of makes it look like there's darkness inside here. Well, that's not feathered enough. So yeah, something like that, and then even you could probably change it to a multiply. So yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Again, you could spend more time on it, and it'd look better. But for this shot, it's all we really need to do. So I'm also going to take that inside shot and give it a camera lens blur, just to about 2 or something like that, so it's not as sharp. The next thing we need to do is to create the door that is actually going to be smashed off. So just to neaten this up, I'm going to take the inside comp and Alt open bracket to have it pop on at the same time with those two, just to neaten the comp up a little bit. So that pops off, and that's looking good. You could color correct it more, or you could do an actual 3D inside if you wanted to. But for this shot with no camera movement or anything, it's perfectly fine. So yeah, let's bring in the texture that I made. Okay, so I've got this texture here. Turn it on. Now we need a shape layer that fits this perfectly. I already have this because I already cut this out to be. I already cut the door out for the texture, so I'm going to copy that and bring it into our comp. So basically what we can do is we can actually use this layer to create a shape in element. So I'm going to eyeball that off. I'm just going to call this door shape and bring that down to the bottom so it's not in the way. And what I did for the texture, I cut out the shape of the door. I took the picture I had from the front of the door, and then I just added a random metal texture behind it, because then the sides will actually have a color and stuff. You just something to wrap it up, to wrap around the object. And so I've got this texture. I'm going to turn that off and also bring that down to the bottom. We're going to create a new solid. Call it element. And bring element onto it. So put this onto preview mode for the tutorial, and it also is good to do while you're working, because then once it helps it run a little bit faster, and then once you've finished, you can just turn it back to full render before you export it out. Okay, so I'm going to go. So you want to go to custom layers, custom text and masks, and choose door shape, scene setup, and extrude. Now we have this shape here. So yeah, we're not going to worry about texturing it just yet. We'll do that. We'll sort the keyframes and stuff out for this first. So to animate the object a lot easier than it would be to just go into here and use these ones, you can actually go group 1, group utilities, create group null, create. So now there's a null that you can control with the position and rotation controls down here. That makes it a lot easier to control the object. So I'm just going to go to the position. I'm going to take it back in Z space by like 500, maybe even 1,000. Okay, this is a huge thing. So I'm going to scale it down a lot. Okay. Now we're going to position it into the center here. Just going to turn element off for a second so I can line this null up into the center of the door. So turn element back on, and now we just want to adjust the scale and the rotation and stuff. So I'm just going to go to the orientation. I'm just going to do this for using the arrow keys, so it goes a lot. It's a lot easier to control that way. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Looks like it fits. It's in the right position. So now we want to go to the frame where the door pops on, and we also want to select the element layer, Alt open bracket, so that pops on at the same time. Bang, that's good. Okay. So once again, before we do any texturing, I'm going to take the group null for this layer, and we're going to We're going to animate the door popping off and sliding along the floor a little bit. So you want to go to the frame before it pops on, and you want to go to the rotation. I'm just going to put keyframes for all those, and the position. And now we can look at the keyframes like this. And let's say it takes a second before it stops moving. We can pull it over like this, so it pops out, and you want to basically just pull the null to where it's going to end up. I would say something like that looks kind of good. And then we'll go into the middle here, just bring it up a little bit so it doesn't start to fall until. Yeah, that looks something pretty good. And then we'll keyframe the rotation so it starts here, and by the time we want it to even be here, we probably want it to be actually rotated enough. Let's see how that looks. Bang. Yeah, that's not very good. So you just basically want to play around with this. So now I've got it flying out, just flies out and hits itself on the floor. Bang. Okay, that's fine. I had mine go completely off the screen. You could do that, or you can have it slide. That looks okay to me, so let's just keep it like that. It just bounces a little bit as it hits the ground. So, I should also notice, as you may notice by the actual image that I took of the door, the door is two parts. It opens in the middle, but just for the sake of time saving, I'm just going to keep it as if it was one door, because it would just be the exact same process with two, just take longer. So we're going to take the element layer, wiggle that down. We're going to say custom layers again, and now we want to go to custom textures. I said that very weird. Okay, and then we want to label this texture comp texture. Okay, so let's go to scene setup, and I'm going to go to the bevel here, go to diffuse, and you can select this little arrow here and click custom layer 1. Okay, now nothing's shown up. That's, I think, just because my computer's being weird. If I go here, there we go. It does have the texture on it, but the texture is a bit messed up. So now if we go back in here, we should be able to sort it out. Okay. One problem I made was I've made the the texture is wonky, but just for the sake of it being a tutorial, I'm not going to sort it out. That's because the mask I made on this mask I used, I should have straightened it out before I brought it into element, but that's easily changed. But just to save time, I'm not going to. So we're going to hit this extrusion model. We're going to go down here to modeling surfacing, and we can stretch this. We can stretch and move this material around so it fits on properly, or kind of properly. It's not going to fit perfectly, so that's okay. We just want to move this around until it's as far as I'm aware, you can't rotate the texture at all. So I mean, we could go into the texture. Let's do it. You could go into the texture file here and rotate this a little bit. See if that helps. Scene setup. No, I think I did it worse. I did it the wrong way. Okay, so rotation. Okay, just change that because it kind of looked like it was enough. Just the other way. So going to go to scene setup and let's see. That's better. Okay. Go back to transform here. The modeling. Go back to the modeling section here and line this up. Okay, so now we've got this. The only thing is it's double-sided. We've got the door on both sides. So how I got around that was I clicked on the extrusion model here, and you can go bevel copies 2. Now what we want to do is we want to take the bevel number 2. We just want to give it a random metal colour, or I don't know if this door is metal. It probably isn't, but let's just pretend it is. Or let's not. Whatever. Okay, let's just go to metal, and then we can do this green paint colour. And now you have this weird sort of thing going on here. So what we need to do is we need to go to Z offset and bring it back a little bit. So now we've got door on one side, this on the other, and you can go into the diffuse here and change it if you want to. You can make it darker, and then you can desaturate it. Oops. Then you can desaturate it a little bit. So that's not perfect, but it looks fine to me. So we'll click OK on that one. Now I want to watch that back. So the door changes colour as it comes out of the thing. So one way you could make it look more like the actual door is while you're on set, you could take an HDRI image. I didn't, because I just quickly took this picture because I thought it'd be good for the tutorial. So luckily Element 3D does have some environments that are already registered. You can choose one, so like garden blurred, it's got the green and the sky, and then that might help a little bit. So that's not made too much of a difference, but it should help a little bit. And then what we can do is all it really looks like it's been changed, to be honest, is the it's a lot more green. So we can just add a curves adjustment to the element file, take out some of the blue. That looks better already. A little bit more. And then maybe some red. Just take a little bit of it out. Not that much. Something like that looks pretty good. And then obviously it's going to be in motion, so it'll have some motion blur on it, so it pops out, and it's gonna. That looks all right. Just do a quick RAM preview of that. See how that looks. Yeah, that's the animation's not perfect. It's it sort of loses its velocity pretty quickly, but that's basically how I did the effect. Then you can always bring in like a bring in a dust wave from Video Copilot, or do your own in particular. If you look at my my Sparks tutorial I just did the other day, I'm sure there's stuff in there that's usable, but you can just if not, you can just use some Video Copilot if you've got it. This is not going to be perfect, but it definitely is a better idea to use your own things that you make in, say, like I say, particular or something. That's just always going to be. It's always just going to look better because the Video Copilot stuff's so recognizable nowadays. But I say that like I say that like I've lived through years of VFX experience, but I've not. So I don't know why they sound like that. So yeah, then you can always add. This is where you're going to add the explosions and and all the effects that are making the door actually fly off. Maybe someone kicked it out or something, like in mine. You could also add a shadow to the way the door to the door on the floor, so it could I don't know, bang, because that would definitely help. I don't think you need it too much, because if you really look, there isn't any shadows around on the trees or anything. The shadow would be very not apparent if there was one. And then you can add, like I have here, you can add in the camera shake for when it actually explodes. I think I've timed it up right. Yeah, I did. So yeah, that's how I basically did the effect. Again, this isn't the perfect version of this effect. I definitely could have spent a lot more time on it, making it look a lot better. Maybe adding some sparks in where the hinges fly off and stuff like that. Thanks for watching the tutorial, guys. I hope it was helpful. Once again, check out the link in the description to my Green Lantern versus Superman video, and if you like it, give us a like and a comment. Subscribe to my main channel, Comic Cinema, for superhero related videos, and subscribe to my second channel, which is Ross Arnold's on Extra, and that's probably confusing, for tutorials and stuff like that. I'm really trying to do a lot more tutorials, so let me know which effect you want me to do tutorials for, and I'll try and do them as best I can. And even if it's an effect I've never done, I'll try and do that for you. So yeah, alright, thanks for watching. I'm gonna go. Enjoy your day.